Imagine standing before this, a skeleton of colossal size, a relic from a world lost to time. This was the cave bear Ursus spelaeus, one of the true giants of the Ice Age, stretching over 10 feet long and weighing up to a ton. It was a creature that commanded respect. For hundreds of thousands of years, this magnificent beast roamed the landscapes of Pleistocene Europe and Asia, a seemingly permanent feature of a wild and untamed world. But its reign was not to last. The story of its disappearance is a dramatic tale of conflict, climate, and competition, a powerful lesson from our planet's deep past. Let's journey back 40,000 years. The world is in the grip of an ice age, but in the vast forests and mountain ranges of Eurasia, life thrives. Here, the cave bear was king. Despite its intimidating size and fearsome appearance, the cave bear was, for the most part, a gentle giant. Fossil evidence, particularly the wear patterns on their teeth and chemical analysis of their bones, tells us that their diet was overwhelmingly vegetarian. They spent their days foraging for roots, tubers, grasses, and berries. Unlike their modern cousins, the omnivorous brown bears, they were specialized herbivores, a detail that would later prove to be a fatal weakness. Life for a cave bear revolved around a single crucial resource: caves. These weren't just places to sleep. They were essential for survival. During the brutal Ice Age winters, these natural shelters provided the perfect sanctuary for hibernation. Deep within the earth, protected from the biting winds and freezing temperatures, they would enter a state of deep sleep, conserving their energy until spring returned. Caves were also the nurseries for the next generation. It was in these dark, quiet chambers that females gave birth and raised their vulnerable cubs, shielding them from the harsh world outside. For thousands upon thousands of years, this cycle of life continued undisturbed. The bears would emerge from their dens in the spring, forage through the summer and autumn, and return to their ancestral caves as winter approached. They were the undisputed masters of these subterranean realms. But a new, intelligent, and highly adaptable creature was about to arrive on the scene, one that would challenge the bears for the very homes they depended on. Into this established world stepped a new force: our own ancestors, early modern humans. Migrating out of Africa and spreading across Eurasia, Homo sapiens were master survivors. They were intelligent, cooperative, and armed with increasingly sophisticated tools. As they pushed into the colder climates of Ice Age Europe, they sought the same thing the cave bears did: shelter. And the best shelters available were the very caves the bears used for hibernation and raising their young. This set the stage for a direct and often deadly conflict. For the first time, the cave bear faced a competitor it couldn't simply intimidate or overpower. Humans were different. They had fire, a tool and a weapon of immense power. Imagine a group of humans, armed with torches and sharpened spears, approaching a cave entrance. The flickering light and smoke would be terrifying to a bear, driving it from its den. Archaeological sites across Europe tell this story. We find layers of human occupation directly on top of layers of bear remains, a clear sign of displacement. Caves that had been used by generations of bears were taken over by humans, who turned them into homes, workshops, and sacred spaces. The bears were pushed out, forced to find new, often less suitable shelters. This constant pressure, this loss of prime real estate, was the first major blow in a series of events that would ultimately seal the cave bear's fate. The battle for the caves had begun, and the bears were losing. The arrival of humans was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The cave bear was caught in a perfect storm of converging crises, a combination of factors that pushed it relentlessly towards extinction. First, there was the human impact. This wasn't just about losing caves. Humans also hunted the bears. While they weren't a primary food source, evidence of butchered cave bear bones has been found at human sites. Every bear killed by a human hunter was one less individual in an already stressed population. The constant conflict and competition for resources placed an enormous strain on the species. Then, the world itself began to change dramatically. The planet was sliding into the last glacial maximum, the coldest and driest phase of the Ice Age. As the glaciers advanced, the environment was transformed. The lush, mixed woodlands that the cave bears relied on for their plant-based diet began to shrink, replaced by vast, open, grassy steppes. The variety of plants they ate dwindled, making it harder and harder to fatten up for their long winter hibernation. This climate-driven change in vegetation struck at the very heart of their survival strategy. This is where their dietary specialization became a critical disadvantage. Remember, cave bears were almost exclusively herbivores. Their closest living relative, the brown bear, is a highly adaptable omnivore. When plant food becomes scarce, a brown bear can switch to eating fish, insects, or scavenging carcasses. It has options. The cave bear did not. Its entire biology was tuned to a plant-based diet. As its food sources disappeared, it had nowhere else to turn. It was trapped by its own evolution. So you have a species being pushed out of its homes by humans, its food supply vanishing due to climate change, and an inability to adapt its diet. It was a triple threat, a combination of pressures that proved to be insurmountable. The world was changing faster than the cave bear could adapt. The final chapter for the cave bear was one of slow, inevitable decline. Pushed from their dens, struggling to find enough food in a changing landscape, and facing competition from both humans and more adaptable bears, their numbers began to plummet. Fewer bears survived the harsh winters. Fewer cubs were born, and even fewer reached adulthood. Generation by generation, their populations dwindled and became fragmented, isolated pockets of a once mighty species clinging to survival. Eventually, around 24,000 years ago, the last cave bear took its final breath. A giant that had walked the earth for 500,000 years vanished forever. The only traces they left behind are their massive bones found by the tens of thousands in the caves they once called home, and the faint echoes of their existence, captured by the very species that contributed to their demise. In caves like Chauvet in France, our ancestors painted stunning images of the Ice Age world, and among the lions and rhinos, we see depictions of bears. Perhaps these were a tribute, a memory, or a symbol of a powerful rival. Today, when we look at this skeleton, we're not just looking at the bones of a long extinct animal. We are looking at a cautionary tale written in stone. The story of the cave bear is a stark reminder of how a combination of climate change and competition for resources can drive even the most formidable species to extinction. It shows us how fragile the balance of life can be, and how profoundly one species can impact another. It's a story from the deep past, but its lessons have never been more relevant for our future. Thanks for joining us on this journey back to the Ice Age. If you found this story fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the history of our planet. See you next time.